It's only been about roughly 48 hours since Ohio State has lost to Michigan, and things are already heading downhill. You better strap in for this one, because I got my cold, hard facts ready to go. The inevitable is already starting to commence, and actually it's starting to happen quicker than what I thought it originally was going to. Now, do y'all know what the word inevitable means? It means it was bound to happen. In other terms, it was only a matter of time before all this news was going to come out. Whoa, 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 hold on. I know what all you are sitting there saying. Yo, Matt, what in the heck, what in the crap are you talking about? Well, my friend, I'm glad you asked that question because I got an answer for you, and we got a lot to talk about and go over. How do I say this nicely? I don't want to try and overhype this, but things are getting worse for Ohio State. Like I said, the reasonable college football fans like myself and many of you watching this video, we expected this. It's your delusional Ohio State fans that are going to be shocked. I already had a good idea of what Ohio State fans are like, but after the game on Saturday, I found out who they really are. When it comes down to one of the most toxic, crazy, and delusional fan bases out there, Tennessee's at number 1, but Ohio State, they're making a push for it. You know why I say that? Because only, and I mean only, Ohio State and Tennessee fans can justify that their team deserves to be in the playoff after getting smashed by 20 plus points. I'm not going to get into the playoff talk. That's not what this video is about. But here's my question to Ohio State fans. And really, let me know in the comment section. Fill me in. Why do you even want to go to the playoff? Seriously, why? If you do get in, it's going to be the 4th seed, and everybody and their mom knows you're going to get smashed by Georgia. If Michigan, and give respect to Michigan, they played a great game, but if Michigan pushes you around and has their way with you without their starting Heisman running back, what do you think Georgia's going to do? Is losing to Michigan in embarrassing fashion on your home field not enough? Do you want more? I don't know. Beats everything I've ever seen. We've got a lot to talk about to go over in this video. I haven't said it in a while, but if you're enjoying the content or new to the channel, consider subscribing. We're on the road to 300K, and yeah, we're not too close. We can't hit it off of this video, but if you do subscribe, we can get slightly closer. Whenever you subscribe, it really helps out the channel. All right, Matt, blah, blah, blah. Shut the crap up. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. Alrighty, first things first, after I watched all the games on Saturday night, I posted my new college football top 7 teams after week 13. And as we all know, the college football rankings, they come out at 6 p.m. on Tuesday, and I cannot wait for those. I'm trying to think about it, but dare I say this is going to be the most anticipated ranking show of all time? It's got to be up there. We all know what the top 4 is going to look like. Georgia, Michigan, TCU, and USC, but it's what happens after that that's going to be interesting. I know I keep saying it. I'm not going to dive into all that mess, but here's my top 7 teams. And I think a lot of people get it twisted. This isn't what I think is going to be the rankings. These are my Matt B. Great's top 7 teams in the country. And if you're wondering why I only did 7 teams, because if you're not in this top 7 list, you have absolutely no shot of making the playoff. And even saying Tennessee has a shot to make the playoff, that's stretching it. Anyways, though, number 1, I got Georgia. Goes without being said, we all know Georgia's number 1. At 2, I got Michigan. Michigan looks awesome. If you want to put them at number 1, I have no problem with it, but I'm going to stick with Georgia. I like Georgia at 1, Michigan 2. I don't think anybody's going to complain with that. At 3, I got TCU, and 4, I got USC. That's the top 4. I get it. Everyone's going to talk about how TCU, they're frauds or whatnot, but I made a video about it last week. I genuinely believe they're a top 4 team. And I already know what all these Alabama, Tennessee, and Ohio State fans are about to say, and I get it. They're always going to bring up this argument. If TCU and Alabama play tomorrow, or TCU, Tennessee play tomorrow, or TCU and Ohio State play tomorrow, nobody's picking TCU to win any of those games. Maybe they're not. Maybe it's split down the middle 50-50, but the bottom line is TCU's 12-0, and they look like a great team. Ohio State doesn't look like a great team. TCU, they got a decent defense and a really good offense. As a collected unit, TCU, they're a scrappy bunch that's having an outstanding year. Give them credit. And I'll go as far as saying this. If TCU loses to Kansas State in the next game, which is on Saturday, by 3 or 10 points, I'd still put them in the playoff. I know it's controversial. Does TCU have better athletes than Alabama and Ohio State? No, but neither did Michigan. Ohio State had way more talent than Michigan, and Michigan blew them out. We're not here to talk about who has the most talent. We're here to talk about who's been the better team this season, and TCU is a top 4 team, and I cannot stress that enough. And number 4, self-explanatory, USC. The only reason I got them at number 4 is because Caleb Williams is must-see TV, beyond special. I could go on, and Lincoln Riley, outstanding head coach. This was one of the only things I was right on in the offseason offseason, I said USC's my dark horse to make the playoff, and I was 100% right on that one. I see a lot of people are shocked at the success that USC's had this year, but I'm not. Reason number one, they got Caleb Williams and Lincoln Riley. Reason number two, the Pac-12 sucks. I'm not taking anything away from Caleb Williams and the USC, I'm just stating the obvious. You put any of these teams in the top 10, you put Penn State in the Pac-12, Penn State's also probably 11-1. USC's look good at number 5, and here's where the real debate starts to heat up. I got Alabama over Ohio State. I'm going to try to break this down in the simplest and fastest way possible. Do I think Alabama deserves to be in the playoff? Heck to the no. Do I think Ohio State deserves to be in the playoff? Absolutely not. I don't care who you are. You get beat by 20 plus points, you ain't a top 4 team. And do I think Tennessee deserves to be in the playoff? No. Same thing. You lost to South Carolina by 30. So no matter which way you want to rank these 3 teams, Tennessee at 5, Ohio State at 5, whoever, none of them deserve to be in. But, and I have a big but, I think Alabama is better than Ohio State right now. And I know a lot of people are going to try to bring up Tennessee. Look, the only argument I need is you lost to South Carolina by 30, and that's all I'm going to say about it. Yes, you beat Alabama in the head-to-head, but Alabama played one of their worst games ever. They had 18 penalties. Everything went wrong for Bama, and it took a last-second field goal to knock them off. These rankings ain't based off of Week 8, Tennessee fans. These are based off of how you ended the season and how the team currently looks, and Alabama, they finished the year pretty strong. Everyone's going to try to bring up, well, Matt, Alabama has 2 losses, and Ohio State only has 1. Yeah, that is true, but may I remind you, Alabama's 2 losses came on last-second plays with 0 seconds left on the clock. Alabama's 2 losses have combined for 4 total points. Ohio State's 1 loss was 22 points, and if the game would have continued to go on, it would have been worse. Also, gotta throw in there, Alabama didn't lose at home to a team without their Heisman contending running back. When Alabama played Tennessee, Tennessee had all their weapons. They had their Heisman quarterback. They had everybody healthy. When Alabama played LSU, LSU had all their weapons. LSU was on a hot streak and all that good stuff. Here's the bottom line, and we gotta get a move on. I can't watch a team get dominated, and I mean absolutely completely get dominated and humiliated at home by 20 plus points and put them ahead of Alabama. Because this Alabama team, they've been in every single game this year. The games they lost, it came down to last second plays. Have they won some close games here and there? Yes, but they haven't got dominated in a game. I cannot watch a team in Ohio State or Tennessee get dominated and put them ahead of Alabama. It's as simple as that. It's a hot topic. I am very curious. Let me know your thoughts and your rankings down below. Let's get on to the main topic, the main encore, the main reason to click out to this video. Ohio State. Oh man, I'm not going to talk too much about the game. Well, I am going to talk a little bit about the Michigan game, but I did enough of that in the recap. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. It's only been about roughly 48 hours since Ohio State has lost to Michigan, and things are already heading downhill. You better strap in for this one, because I got my cold, hard facts ready to go. I said this last year, and I got backlash for it, but I'm going to continue to say it because it's looking like I'm right every single day that continues to go by. You got to fire Ryan Day. I'm sorry, I'm not sorry. Ryan Day is nothing more than a glorified Mark Richt. If you don't know who Mark Richt was, he was a head coach at Georgia that every single year, they'd go 10-2, 11-1, or maybe 12-1, but they could never win the big one. Mark Richt could never win the games that counted. He can never get over the hump of beating Alabama, and that's why Georgia moved on. It wasn't that Mark Richt was a bad coach. I think Ryan Day's a good coach, but he's not a great one. He can't get over the hump, and I gotta remind y'all, this is the same head coach that got blown out in the championship game by Alabama. Granted, that 2020 Alabama team was legendary, there is no excuse for getting blown out when you have Justin Fields as your quarterback. If Ohio State wants to do themselves any favors whatsoever, you gotta fire Ryan Day. Don't worry, we're not going to talk about that. Is Ryan Day's job on the line? No, but if he loses next year to Michigan, that'll be interesting. I've came prepared for this video. I'm going to take y'all on a little field trip, and we're going to throw it back to early 2021 to when Ohio State played Oregon. I'm sure y'all remember this game, and by the way, this game was also at home, and Oregon had no business winning this game whatsoever. This was an Oregon team that wasn't supposed to be this good, and I can remember nobody picked Oregon to win. To make a long story short, Oregon winds up winning this game. They pull off the upset, but do y'all remember what happened in the game? Oregon didn't win this game by doing no huddle offense and throwing for 500 500 yards, they beat Ohio State in the trenches. I watched an Oregon team, let me repeat this, an Oregon team that is a finesse team push Ohio State around. Do y'all understand how sad and pathetic that is? That's like Oregon pushing around Georgia or Alabama. It's just embarrassing. Oregon finished the day with 269 rushing yards. Yeah, that's pretty embarrassing. Ohio State, yeah, CJ Stroud had 500 passing yards, but you only had 128 rushing yards. I know what you're sitting there saying. Yo, Matt, why are you bringing this up? What does this have to do with anything? Just pay attention. Keep this in the back of your head. Also in 2021, their next loss came against Michigan, where they lost by 15 points. Wasn't even really a game, and Ohio State only had 64 rushing yards. Now I get it, they were behind in the game and they had a pass, but there's no run support whatsoever. Why? Because Ohio State's soft. On the other hand, for Michigan, we know how this went. They had 297 rushing yards. Yeah, so you're starting to get the remedy of things. Let's continue on. We're now in the time frame of this year, 2022. Only a couple weeks ago, Northwestern, one of, if not the worst team in D1 college football, had over 200 rushing yards. Now, 200 ain't a lot, but we're talking about Northwestern. They're 1-11. It's embarrassing. Ohio State literally only had one more rushing yard than them, and this was a game where it was all about running the football. And well, last but not least, this Saturday, Michigan had 252 rushing yards. Ohio State, 143. It's not so much about the rushing yards. That doesn't tell you the entire story, but in all these games that I showed you, in most of these games that Ohio State has lost, they've got pushed around in. Ohio State used to be this team that I, as an SEC and Bama fan, I was scared to play. They were rugged, strong, all about the trenches, always had great linebackers. Now, no, it's a finesse team. Ohio State's remind me a lot of a USC or a Pac-12 team like Oregon. And it's crazy to think this, they lost to Oregon, and Oregon last year wasn't even that good. You lost to Michigan last year, and no disrespect to Michigan, but even Michigan fans would tell you they weren't that great. This year they're great, but last year they weren't. What do you do going forward from this point on? Why would any reasonable college football fan think that Ohio State is going to beat Michigan next year in Michigan's home place? I know for one thing, I ain't picking Ohio State to win this game. Michigan really loses nothing. They got J.J. McCarthy coming back, and he's only going to get better. It doesn't just stop there. Let me show you this. In Michigan's last two games against Ohio State, 297 rushing yards, and last Saturday, or only 2 days ago, 252. In those two games, they've had 9 rushing touchdowns. They're averaging 7.2 yards per carry. 7.2 yards per carry, not just in one game. One game is kind of understandable, but 2 games? No, not acceptable. It's what I'm going to harp on. Ohio State is soft. That's what they are. The defense is terrible and soft. The offense is fine. You got all the talent in the world. The play calling is dog crap, and Ryan Day, he's part of the problem. And oh yeah, here's where things just start to get straight up embarrassing. 2 recruits from Ohio, they were from the state of Ohio, was going on their Ohio State visit, and after the game, they committed to Michigan. Not 1, but 2. Once again, am I shocked by this? Heck to the no. Why would any recruit visiting Ohio State even consider going to Ohio State after watching them get mauled by 20 plus points? And here's what actually blows my mind, and it's why I'm finna start comparing these Ohio State fans to Tennessee fans. These Ohio State fans have the nerve, after getting completely dominated in back-to-back years by Michigan, have the nerve to continue to talk crap. Look, I don't care if you talk crap, but sometimes you just gotta sit there and take the L and move on and not say a word. Ohio State fans, on the other hand, no, they continue to talk, and it makes them look worse. All these fans on Twitter, I'm not gonna show you all the tweets, but they're saying, oh, well, these recruits, they're only like 3 and 4 stars, so it's not a big deal. We didn't really want them. And just like this reply says, Ohio State fans saying they were 3 stars isn't the flex you think it is. Those same 3 stars have dominated you mentally and physically. The culture in Columbus is soft, charming soft. Couldn't have said it better myself. That's all these Ohio State fans care about. Oh, well, we just want these 4- and 5-star recruit quarterback and wide receivers, and we're set. Listen here, you bozo. Sometimes, and I've said this before about with Alabama, I'd rather have a 3-star that's going to give me 100% effort than a 5-star that's going to give me 75% effort. And more times than not, these 3 stars turn out to be better than the 5 stars anyways. May I remind you, this is only 48 hours after the game. I just think it's going to get more. You're going to continue to see these 3, 4, and maybe some 5-star recruits pick Michigan over Ohio State. I don't know why any kid watching that game this year and last year would pick Ohio State over Michigan, if I'm being 100% honest. Here's the last thing I'm going to say. Ohio State fans, why don't you shut your mouth? It's not so much that people are laughing at you and ridiculing you because you lost, it's the way you lost. At least Alabama fans have the argument of saying, hey, yeah, we lost 2 games, but it was down to the wire and it was off of last second plays. Ohio State fans, you don't even have an argument. You just straight up got your butt whipped on national TV. By the way, I think 17 million people tuned in for that game. Embarrassing to say the least. I'm very curious. Let me know your thoughts down below. But